Hello, everyone. My name is Paddy, and welcome to the podcast. I am joined, as always, by our current affairs correspondent, Tucker Davidson. How are you doing this week?
Pretty good, hanging out. Not watching a lot of wrestling.
Why not?
Watching a lot of other things.
Oh, what else have you been watching?
A lot of old basketball stuff. So nothing that interests you or the people of this channel.
What old basketball stuff?
Different games, highlight stuff.
Full games?
On and off.
Really?
Mostly flipping through older games or whatever. Because now the NBA will live stream games or whatever sometimes.
Oh, I see.
The season is still delayed or canceled or whatever it is at this point. But yeah, just watching different things.
I see. Yeah. Is that all you've been watching?
Some general YouTube stuff, Twitch streams, but aside from that, yeah, nothing.
What are you watching on Twitch?
The basketball video game, NBA 2K. Yeah.
You watching people play it, or?
Yes.
What kind of
Watching people play it, or simming different things, whatever, seeing how different things unfold, different scenarios or whatever.
Ah, that interests you?
Yeah, because it's like a combination of it's obvious that I like kind of stats and shit like that. I'm a fucking stats guy, which is why TW works for me, and then basketball is also kind of like that. So it's I don't know, it's weird. Wrestling and basketball go back and forth between who is my greatest love. It's probably basketball. Anyways.
Wow.
Probably is.
Yeah?
I really fucking love basketball. That shit, that's my shit, man.
You ever play?
That's my shit. No, actually. No, I played for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Was never that great. I had one pretty good year.
I see.
I had 1 year where I won a defensive player of the year.
Oh, that seems pretty good.
It was, yeah.
Do you mean for your team or for the league?
For the team,
okay.
Yeah.
That's that's still pretty good. Still pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to think so, but.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Is playing not something that interests you now?
It's weird now, because I probably should have just signed up for something with university, but it being my first year of uni, I wasn't sure whether or not what my course load would be or whatever. So I was I don't know how much time I'll have to do things. Turns out, as a English and history student, you have a lot of fucking free time. You can just do whatever the fuck you want, mostly, as long as you sit down and you grind out a paper. Eventually, you'll be fine. So,
can you dunk?
No.
How tall are you?
5'10". I'm pretty tiny. Basketball did not text back. All right, I live vicariously.
Fair enough.
Coaching, maybe eventually.
Yeah, you think so? Have you got started with that?
It's part of why eventually I want to be a teacher. I mean, also because
Are you gonna be a PE teacher, Tucker?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll be the history teacher who also coaches basketball.
At one of my old schools, the history teacher was an ex-PE teacher. So it's gotta work your way up, man.
Gotta work my way up? Is that how it works?
Well, usually the PE teachers are on the ground floor of a school because that's where all the sports courts are. And
accurate, yes.
Yeah,
and then the more academics are on the third floor. Yeah, that's
usually the science and math department third floor, maybe humanities on the second. That's
the genuine layout of the high school that I went to.
Yeah, it makes sense. You need to lower to the ground so you can get access to all the sports courts and stuff, and you want to be high up in the school with all of the expensive science equipment, so it doesn't get stolen if someone just breaks into the first floor.
Oh, that's probably. I never thought if that's why they did that. Then again, I'm not sure.
Maybe not. Yeah,
that's necessarily a problem, but whatever.
making that up for sure. Not the sports stuff, but the science equipment stuff. Yeah. I mean, there's some pretty expensive science equipment you can get in high schools. You can cook crystal meth with some of that. from what I hear from a documentary I watched one time.
Yes. I mean, then again, like outside of a very specific set of circumstances, why are you stealing that stuff?
Just to make a profit, you know.
Right.
There's very
Yeah,
little.
okay.
There's very little capital investment. Why is my
Gotta-
CPU usage at 100%?
It's time, buddy. I've infected you.
Have you given me a heat virus?
I have now.
I think it was TEW. It didn't like the the May transition or whatever the fuck was just going on.
It's like, whoa.
Oh, are we? Yeah, we're 5 minutes into the video. That should count as light profanity, I think. Have you seen that yet? Have you uploaded a video since the profanity filters have come in?
No.
You got to tell YouTube whether you say the F word in the first couple minutes of your video.
Oh, I'll just tell them yes, always.
You won't get any ads then.
I don't get ads anyways. I don't put ads on my videos.
Ugh, who are you?
Somebody who does it for the love of the game.
Yeah, but you're not making YouTube any money either. You're just sucking up free fucking...
I'm not making YouTube anymore. At this point.
Well, I thought you wanted to do your ECW save.
Well, I just meant because I literally haven't uploaded in a while. So.
There's a good meme, but are you going to keep doing YouTube?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I wouldn't stop doing YouTube.
What's the action plan? Next couple days.
Well, I told this to you on the stream, twitch.tv/Matsudairo. You can come check us out on Sunday.
If our technical difficulties don't kill everything.
Kill us.
Yeah.
You can come check us out there. We typically either do this or play TW. Sometimes both.
Yeah.
But the plan is to, before TW comes out, 2020 that is, I'll finally update my demo because I haven't touched it, really. I haven't updated it, I guess, in a while. I've mostly just been playing with the initial one. Not too many crashes I've seen overall, but that might be very specific to me because I've heard people have a lot of problems with different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll download that and I'll see if there's different. Basically, I'm looking for the scroll wheel in booking and stuff like that. And then if that is available, there's a decent chance we switch over to 2020, and then I'll find something new to do, whatever it ends up being.
Really? I thought on the stream earlier you were talking about how you just wanted to keep doing ECW.
I do, but I don't think it's a terrible idea to move on. Like, as much as I really like what I'm doing with the ECW stuff, I think it's always good to do something new. If even just so then you can try to... Because ECW, I'm very proud of what I did with that series, but it's not perfect. Like, there are things that are not as good as I would want them to be. And so I think there's always some value then in, like, wiping the slate clean and starting over.
Such as?
Oh, just undoing, like, certain signings and stuff like that of people that, like, I thought I would use, but realistically I had nothing for. Like,
Which signings?
In the ECW biggest one I can fucking think of is fucking Chris Jericho. I brought in Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know why I brought in Jericho. I don't love him. I think he's fine. He fits somewhat with the product very well, but I don't have anything for him at all. Like, I don't have anything for that character. Probably the biggest problem I had was I brought him in as a face, which was really stupid of me. I should have brought him in as a heel. He should have been like a big fucking, like, big company, Hollywood, big shot type character. Instead, he just became a guy who was a babyface and never really had any feuds because I didn't really like him. So yeah, there's like that. Aside from that, though, I think a lot of the stuff works for the most part.
Are there any other signings?
Well, over 3 years, yeah, you get a couple, but
Such as?
any other ones that specifically didn't work? Too Cold Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
The Fed got rid of him. I brought him in again. Basically just used him to put other people over, and then he signed back with the Fed. I was like, okay. That was like a 9-month run.
Someone in chat saying that he can give you booking ideas for Jericho.
Who is that?
It's Carlton
Oh, I thought it'd be Ben.
Banks.
I blame Ben. Just kidding, Ben. Love you.
I don't think Ben's watching anymore.
That's fair. But yeah, I mean, I obviously have ideas for Jericho. It's just nothing feels like good with him. That's the thing, and it's fine.
Would you like to hear Carlton's ideas, and then you can think about them? Tucker's ego is dying.
I know.
Like, I want to hear other people's ideas.
I'm gonna say, I'm like, it has to be mine. It has to be my ideas. There will be no other ideas. Like, I need to do it on my own. I need to figure it out.
Thanks.
But I don't know. Okay. Something like that wouldn't be a problem if I moved on. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have to figure it out. I could just not make that mistake again.
Is it worth figuring out though? Like, what's the positives of the ECW series? You said you had ideas that you still wanted to tell. What are some of those ideas?
Without spoiling a whole bunch, there's a faction that's eventually going to split into two sub factions. One of which is a very like religious-y cult, and one of which is a very much not religious-y cult. And we're gonna kind of have like a cult war going on at some point.
Ooh.
Coming very, very, very soon. The biggest baby face in the company was going to turn heel out of what they feel is necessity. Which would have been really fun to do. Because the entire series was built behind it. That's an angle I'd been building since the very beginning of the series. And we were so fucking close. I'll never fucking let myself live it down if I don't do it. But I might just not end up doing it.
No, wait. Sorry. You said you have an angle you really want to do and you're very close to doing it.
We were very close. It probably would have been within the next 2 to 3 months in-game.
All right, well, you got to do it then.
I do, but then the angle itself isn't like the interesting thing. It's what comes from the angle, if that makes any sense. Like the new way that the world kind of looks, which means I think I'd have to keep going even further with it for that to lay out. Then like the other stuff.
Interesting to finish on the epoch so that people can fill in for themselves what happens afterwards. If it's so interesting, there must be multiple different ways people could interpret it.
I don't think I said interesting.
I think you literally used the word interesting. But I might be wrong. What would you say? What word would you use?
I would say pivotal.
And you don't think that's interesting? You think it's pivotal in a non-interesting way?
I don't think there's a way that people could take it many different ways. Let's go with that.
You would think that, though, to be fair.
That's true. I would never see how somebody else could take my story another way. It has to be that way.
Not only that, you would never see how you could take your story another way.
That's true, yeah. So
it's pivotal in a way that things change, but into a very
not in an interesting way.
Not in an interesting way, into a very structured path where everybody knows exactly what's going to happen next. Exactly. If that's the case, why do you need to book the next 6 months? Everybody already knows what's going to happen next.
Because I don't think the turn is very obvious.
What do you mean?
It's been built to, but I don't think the heel turn is very obvious.
Is the heel turn the pivotal point or no?
It is very much because it in the larger extent of the entire meta of the company's story, it's the shifting point for the product. It's the beginning of the shift of the product, which is about right for where it is.
Is it not interesting to think of the many different stories that could be told within the new product?
It is, yes. And it's also really cool because it started with that, and there's kind of been this underlying entire story about the one character and their own struggles kind of put on top of this other narrative that's very in your face about the change coming in the product, on top of the overall company that, at the end of the day, if the product changes, what the fuck does the E in ECW even stand for anymore?
Eastern.
We're going back to Eastern, bitch! But yeah, no, and then from there, just the expansion of the different kind of talents you can get or whatever, I think is really, really interesting. trying to keep it like culty, but also expanding as well.
When was the last
really
time you uploaded ECW?
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Do you have any recorded?
No, I finished the last recording, that pay-per-view or whatever.
Do you know what you're gonna do on your next show?
Do I know what I'm gonna do on my next show? Off the top of my head, no. Off
All
the top of my head, no, but that's just because I haven't looked at it probably in 3 weeks. If I looked at it, I think I'd piece together what I'm doing. But like a lot of it is still like seat of the pants stuff, but it's like seat of the pants with a goal. Like I know where I want to get. Let's just get there. We'll figure it out as we go.
So,
which I think sometimes.
Do you know what your next pay-per-view is? I don't want to name, but you know what you're going to do on it.
For the World Championship, no, but that's because I think
a World Championship.
I do.
Wow, it's incredible. How far do you reach these days?
Britain.
Interesting. So, all of America and Britain.
It's like 3 states in America and all of Britain.
Wow, that's amazing.
ECW is the British territory now.
You are TNA.
We do have a nationwide pay-per-view deal though. So.
Oh yeah, I know your reach is all of America then.
You can order in. You just can't watch the TVs.
Of course, yeah. No, well, you can tape trade for the TVs.
Mostly because literally nobody will take us on TV, even though I'm like a decently sized cult company now.
It's probably because of your product, right?
I would assume so, and not because of the size. But
do you not check broadcaster requirements, or have you just forgotten?
I've just forgotten. I haven't looked at TV for like a really long time.
Maybe you can get a deal.
I doubt it, but I could check. Yeah, that would be worth checking probably again.
Are you interested in hiring Doug Williams?
Maybe eventually. He's not at the top of the list, though.
I see. Who is at the top of the list? Since
to bring in?
You've now told everyone there is a list. So, who's at the top?
The figurative list.
It's a figurative list? I see. So if it's a figurative list, why can't Doug Williams be at the top of it? I feel like it's a direct shot.
I really don't like Doug Williams that much.
Alright, there you go. Now the truth is out. The truth comes out.
Could he fit? Yes, probably. I just don't like him that much.
There you go. So, you know what you're doing on the next pay-per-view, right?
It depends. How far away is the next pay-per-view? Because right now, I don't think so. Because I think the next pay-per-view is very far away.
Okay, so when's the next big moment you're excited for?
Next big moment I'm excited for is probably... I don't know how much to spoil in case I ever go back to it.
Then just say it in vague terms. Or say something that's been hyped up and is obvious that you're building to, and you have been for a while.
So, kind of the next big moment, I think at least, is finally moving the television championship on from... Because the television title, I've used it very much how you would assume I'd use a mid-card title, and that's by putting it on somebody for like a year at a time. Where the world title's been moving around a lot more comparatively, and the tag titles have definitely been moving around a lot. The television title's a very stationary championship. Realistically, we've had 3 television champions in the 3 years of the series. One of those reigns is about a month. So it's for 2. Basically, inevitably, there is somebody who has recently fought for the world title, who failed to capture the world title. But the plan then would be to put the television on them and tell the story of that they are quite good. It's just maybe they're not at the level of that world championship yet.
Oh.
Which I think it's a simple but decent story to tell. They'll grow, assumingly. Aside from that, though, a lot of the weirdly enough, is a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about is built around that television title, where the world title. Where are my notes? Because I have stuff written down for the world title. Off the top of my head, I can't think what the hell I'm doing with the world title. The world title stuff, because it's kind of just in this spot where a lot of my other major stars are currently wrapped up in issues that I find a lot more interesting than the world title.
Okay.
So the world title is very much not a focus of the show, which is weird.
Well, is
Even
the
though,
so what's so? Are you excited about another thing that could be the focus of the next pay per view?
yeah, that turn I think that's coming, the building of that turn, and then the relationship between a character who has been kind of by this other character's side, and the turn with them, and why he feels he has to turn on him, I think is really, really interesting. It's something I don't think I've seen anywhere in a wrestling context, which is I think why I liked it so much.
Well, cool. Maybe you should write a show tomorrow.
I could, but then that means I'm committing to.
No, you're not. You're not committing to anything.
I'm not, but just a TV is just a TV.
Yeah, do a TV, upload it.
Probably the next thing, now that I'm looking at the roster and my gears have kind of started turning, probably the next, because I'm running television specials most of the time instead of running pay-per-views every single month. It initially started as like a cost thing. Now it's just something I do because I kind of like the makeup of it, where like every single month has something that's kind of special, but I don't feel the pressure to like go all out on something, you know what I mean, or sell something that's really, really, really big when it's just not. But I think probably the most interesting thing coming up was the CM Punk Chris Daniels tag team taking on Rob Van Dam and Sabu in some kind of gimmicked tag match or whatever, maybe tables or something like that, etc. Whatever. I mean, it's ECW. We're always tables. It's just whatever.
Okay.
And that would be fun.
So are you? Yeah. Could you do maybe a TV tomorrow?
Could I do a TV tomorrow?
Yeah.
I could. It's just, do I want to?
Well, do you want to?
Do I want to? I don't know. I have a lot of stuff. I want to know what I have with 2020 before I seriously make a decision about.
Nobody's asking
keeping
you to
going.
make a decision.
Yeah, but where I am right now feels like an okay spot to end it off. We just did a pay-per-view.
Because you've just said there's an angle you wouldn't let yourself live with if you didn't run it.
You're right. And if I get even closer to that and I don't do it, then I'll never, ever, ever forgive myself. But if I'm here, where I'm kind of close, but still at the end of the point where it's somewhat climactic, I'm okay.
Are you?
Like it? Yes.
That the language you used earlier seems to dispute that. So is that wrong, or are you wrong now?
I'm never wrong.
Well,
I'm right in both instances.
I see.
I am going to be somewhat disappointed that.
That's not the language you used.
Fine, I'll be really fucking disappointed that I'll never get to this angle, but that's okay, because I can use it again down the road. I absolutely can. If I don't pay it off, nobody pays attention to that story. If there's no payoff to this, it just looks like a regular story. Because there's a false ending that has already happened.
Okay,
an ending that would not be my true ending. The true ending is the heel turn.
Okay. So what do you mean by pay it off? You mean finish it?
Yes, do that heel turn. But right now it is in theory finished. It's technically it's the same story, but it's a completely different beat that in theory you don't need to tell the story. But you do for the future context to go forward.
Okay. So you would be able to live with yourself if you didn't tell that story.
Yeah, I guess, because I would be able.
Guess is it a yes or a no?
I really like that idea, but I'd be able to use it again and maybe do it with a character that I thought was actually a good wrestler.
Okay. So what are you doing tomorrow?
What am I doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake up probably at like 1 p.m.
Yeah.
Watch some YouTube. Call my grandma. Watch some basketball.
Uh-huh.
Play some of the basketball video game.
Why don't you record that? or stream it
I've,
like some of
I've
your
tried.
favorite Twitch streamers?
Okay, so I would stream, but my headset broke.
Okay.
You know that. Actually, maybe you don't know that. I think actually the headset broke just before we started streaming regularly, which wouldn't matter, of course, for this because I just use headphones with this microphone. But yeah, the headset doesn't work for that. I have tried recording it in the past. It's just never turned out totally where I want it to.
Why?
I don't think I have the editing ability, and also my computer isn't powerful enough to do everything that I want to do anyways.
What do you
even
mean
if
your
I was.
computer has been running Discord at only 80% CPU capacity all night?
I'm glad you're not gonna fight me on that one. I'm gonna say, I'm like, all right. Yeah, that's more or less it.
Okay.
It's tough to edit things or render things really well on a computer that's not that great. Simple as that.
Well, is there anything short term you could do to have some content on your highly successful YouTube channel while you try and figure out what you want to do in the future long term?
I think.
What about something you could probably put 6 episodes of something out on a 3-episode a week schedule, and I think that would be something reasonable. 6 episodes a week, maybe some sort of tournament, or maybe a year of monthly shows.
I could, yeah, or I could not.
Sure. You have no interest in producing for your YouTube channel over the next couple weeks?
Nothing short term. I'm also really.
Why is there? Do you have a negative? Do you have a negative view of anything short term?
Maybe not exactly short term, but I think. I think I'd want to commit to something when I like.
Why don't you commit to something then?
Because I gotta wait for 2020.
Why do you have to wait for 2020?
Because if I'm moving on, I want to know I'm moving on.
Why? Aren't you kind of already making that decision if you're not doing anything in 2016 now? It sounds like you've already made that decision too, since your threshold seems very low.
I have, but at the exact same time, that if the things that I want from 2020 are not realized,
they're almost certainly going to be, though, because you've told me the only thing you want is the scroll thing to be fixed, and it sounds like they're just doing that.
I mean, that's the only thing that I know that they're actively doing outside of like.
Well, what else do you want?
I haven't had a problem much with the stability. So realistic. I mean, no. Literally earlier I said I haven't experienced very many crashes with it, and I'm still running on like the beta patch number 1 or whatever it was, the initial beta release. So I haven't had a problem with that, but I'm glad to hear that, of course, they are being fixed for when. Obviously, crashes would occur.
You're glad to hear those things that don't affect you are being fixed.
Nothing affects me, buddy. You should know that by now.
So what you're saying is that the only thing you need fixed is the scroll stuff.
More or less, yeah. The scroll stuff.
What's more or less? Yeah, what's more or less? Is it more or is it less?
It's more. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, what more then?
The fuck were my problems with 2020? This is so long ago now.
If you want, you can go back and watch Tucker Hates TEW2020, which is a video that you can find on my channel.
I think a lot of the stuff otherwise that I have problems with isn't going to be changed anyways, as actively said. I think that the menu screen could do with some better organization.
How would you change it? What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it is it's a big, like on the menu screen, there is a big clump of, I would say, unorganized buttons. They're not in alphabetical order. They're not broken down by like a category or something like that.
So you would alphabetize them and you would add categories?
I would. I do one or the other.
One or the other. You wouldn't do both.
I would categorize them. Actually, you could probably just alphabetize them while you're at it. I mean, what's the harm, right? It's just in 2016 here, they're not alphabetized. I don't know why. Probably, I assume, depending on what the developers assumed were the most pressing, like issues, things that people would want to click on the most often. But yeah, alphabetize them, organize them.
Yep. Do you need those to be fixed to play the game?
Do I need those to fix to play the game? No, ultimately.
Okay, so that's pretty irrelevant then. So what else?
Really? I don't think it is.
It is to our conversation.
You just asked me, though, what other things would need to be fixed. That's not going to be fixed. I have to just live with it, or I don't.
Well, are you, or are you not going to?
I guess I would at the end of the day, yeah.
Okay, so then, yeah, it's pretty relevant. So is there, what else is the things that are not going to be fixed?
Aside from that layout change, it's other stuff that I just personally myself don't like. On the booking screen, the removal of the move up, move down buttons and change to arrows, which I think takes a lot more time to move segments where you want, and also the inability to highlight those segments can sometimes make it hard to figure out what segment you're moving. I know it sounds ridiculous, but yeah, no, I've done that where I've been like, what the fuck am I moving? Why is nothing moving? Oh, I'm clicking the exact same thing over and over again. Right, my bad.
So hey, 22020 T-Man and TW, I believe, is not playable in other languages, but I might be wrong. So this moving of up and down, would you need that to be fixed to play the game?
You asked me for my problems.
Yeah, I did. And I'm asking you now, would you need that to be fixed to play the game?
No, you just have to be very particular about what you booked when.
Okay. What next? What else isn't going to be fixed?
I think that road agent notes now being their own button instead of just being defaultly available on the booking screen is somewhat inconvenient. I think...
Do you need that to be fixed to play the game?
Realistically, no, because it's not going to be fixed.
Is that your criteria? It
is, okay. Genuinely.
So, if the game had just come out at launch, like if the game had just come out as it was in patch 1, then all of that stuff wouldn't have been fixed. So would you have just played it because none of it's going to be fixed?
Have I paid for it already?
Have you paid for it already?
I have not paid for it already.
Okay, so no.
All that stuff combined together, no, there's a pretty solid chance I'll just go back to 2016.
Okay, so the only thing that really matters to you is the scroll. Nothing else matters.
The other stuff would be, that really matters to me, genuinely, yeah, it's the scroll. Yeah. To a make or break point, yes, it is the scroll. It is the inability to use a feature that in previous versions of the game came default. You're getting into the weeds here. Okay, so... Really?
Yeah, for sure. So. I think you are, because that could very much apply to some of your other criticisms. That's not the reason why it's make or break for you. That's very weedy.
Convenience? I don't know. Convenience, it's the way I like to do things. Like
again, a lot of the other things could apply to a lot of your other criticisms too.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so you're not really explaining why it's make or break then, are you?
Because I book in this game, and if it's not the way I want to do it, then
but that's the same with the arrows.
So then why would that even matter to me? What's the difference? Fuck TEW2020.
What is the difference, Tucker? You tell us.
What is the difference is that I'm much more likely to book a match than I am to ever need to move matches on the card. I book things in order. I don't start from the back and go forward, or start in the middle and extrapolate out. I go from front to back.
So the thing I think you're looking for is frequency.
Sure.
You don't seem happy with that answer.
I felt like what I said was like very similar, but I might be wrong. I don't know.
I'm not. So what? So were you trying to say that all of these things are convenience, and all of these things are about how you want to book, but realistically, the one that comes up by far the most is the scroll? Is that what you were saying? It didn't sound like what you were saying.
I think exactly what I'm saying, because I think the menu is another situation where that comes up.
Explain. I'm confused.
Well, the menu, when you think about it, right, you use that menu constantly. But I think it's something that the menu, the buttons being where they are, as poorly
Oh, okay.
optimized as it is, eventually you
So
get
you
used
think
to
the
it.
menu buttons come up as frequently as the scroll?
I would say so, because
So
it's
what
something
is
that,
the difference then, Tucker?
as I was just saying,
Go
the
ahead.
menu buttons are something that, in theory, you could get used to eventually. You would get used to
Why do you
eventually.
say that?
I think you're using them so often, you'd get used to it
Would you
eventually.
not use the new controls more so often that you
Yes,
get used?
but that is definitively just bad. Like,
Why?
do I need to explain why making me jump through a hoop to do something that before I've never had to jump through a hoop to do is harmful to a game?
You don't, but that also applies to the road agent notes, which are not a breaking point for you.
Road Agent are they're
Does,
pretty
isn't it?
fucking close. They're
Is
pretty
it?
fucking close to being a breaking
Oh,
point for me.
it seems like something you should have a look at then. If it's pretty fucking close, it should be pretty easy to find the line from the road agent notes.
Find a line?
Yeah, if the road agent notes are pretty close to being a breaking point, looking at it might find where that breaking point is. Because you seem to be struggling to say why one feature matters to you and the rest don't.
Why one feature matters to me, the rest don't. It's not an issue of things not mattering to me. It's an issue of
Matter in the terms of whether or not you're going to play the game.
yeah, but
And
it's a
clear
matter
that
of
those other issues
whether
don't.
or not I believe that the other improvements in TEW2020, the things they've added in, the things that they've changed, counteract the things that they've taken out, the things that they have, in my opinion, not done well. For a lot of those things, it does. For a lot of those things, I like to play with the new stuff or whatever, and I'd get used to whatever else.
So
Not being
yeah,
able to type or scroll to find a roster. I'm a very visual person. I click and drag every single time when I book something. I don't type it out even. I'm a click and drag person.
Okay.
Using that everywhere in the booking is fucking important to me.
Yeah, you said all that before. That's chill. So what you're saying is that there is a difference in value between all of these features, and that there is value to be had switching over to TEW2020.
Absolutely.
And all of those other features, the value doesn't drop below that, or it doesn't go above that. But that scroll wheel feature does. How do you evaluate that? Why is the scroll wheel higher in value to other stuff? If it's not frequency, because it sounds like you disagree with that.
Not that I disagree with the idea that it's frequency, because
you suggested a counterexample. You said that the menu is used just as frequency. So if you accept your own argument, then you say that you disagree, unless you were just arguing for argument's sake and you said something you don't believe.
Anyways.
Is that true or false?
It's false.
Okay, so go ahead. You clearly disagree it's frequency.
So with 2020,
yep,
the menu screen, you would eventually get used to that. I think a lot of people...
This isn't really answering my question.
Say, what is your question then?
Is there?
What do you want to get out of me?
You're so defensive.
Yeah, because you're looking to get something out of me. Or you're just trying to make me look bad.
I'm really not. Well,
you're just trying to make me look bad. That's what it is. Then, like, it's one or the other. Like,
I'm genuinely curious as to your thoughts. Yeah, and it's hard to find them if you keep changing them.
It's because I'm attempting to justify something that realistically I can't justify. I like things a particular way, and that's how I like them.
That's not really the discussion we're having, though. Like, I'm not even disagreeing with you on any of the, like, substantive points. Like, you're saying, oh, I think this is bad, I think this is bad, I think this is bad. And I'm not saying any, like, I'm not even trying to posit an argument to say, oh, why, that's good, that's good, that's good. You don't like these things. I'm asking why one of those things is significantly more valuable to you than the others. Not trying to get you to justify them being bad.
I genuinely believe it has something to do with how I book in the game itself.
Okay.
Something that when I book something, let's say I'm booking a match in 2016, my instant thought is to sort by push, which is something they've changed, and that's fine. But face and heel being where it is, and I know this is a completely different thing, but I'm just working through the process here in which I book something. Faces and heels being where it is, that's one of the first things I click on, in theory. And then take a look really quickly at who I have, blah, blah, blah. And then from there, clicking and dragging is a massive part of that. And when I don't use the mouse, it's with the arrow keys. And then let's say it's my entire roster. The convenience of being able to type in somebody's name, click and drag that, is really great. And sure, it's a mild inconvenience, because I believe in the booking screen for 2020, you can still search, but it's... Actually, I don't think you can search, because I don't think they have the search bar like they do in the page where you just sort for, like, everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think not being able to do that is a really big hindrance towards convenience and speed of booking. And I mean, I'm slower at booking things than you are, but obviously I don't want to spend however long scrolling through a list, or I guess clicking it's because it's you don't actually scroll, right? It's you have to click the, like, I don't even know what it's called, the thing that makes a page go down on the internet. I don't know what it's called, genuinely. I've never thought of a word for this thing before.
Scroll bar. I'm pretty sure.
Is it a scroll bar?
I think so.
Okay. It's just because scroll wheel is like...
I think bar.
Scroll wheel. Yeah, scroll wheel is a very different thing, but it's just because they're similar sounding. But I think using that is such a disservice to the user in terms of speed and convenience, that it felt... I think it kind of all of a sudden stops being necessarily even about the quality itself of the game and becomes more about... Oh, God, you're not going to like me saying this. I think it might say something about, like, what is thought to be acceptable among people who buy this game, or would buy this game.
Okay. If the question is, why is this more significant than the other mentioned features? In one sentence, what is the answer that you just gave me?
Why is it more important than anything else
that you've mentioned?
Because it's very small.
What?
It's such a small thing that was actively changed that it shows, I think, a clear disconnect between me and as a player and the people who make the game.
But...
And I think that means...
You're gonna hate this.
I don't know. Like, I mean, whatever.
This, but does that not apply to so many of those other features, though?
It does.
Oh, then... You know you're not answering the question then, right?
Everything else doesn't have the problem of convenience that thing does.
You don't think the other things are convenience problems?
They obviously are, but I don't think anything impacts convenience the way that not being able to type in a name does regularly. Like, I think it's something that is just so, like, regular, if that makes any sense. It's so normal that not having that is, like, actively harmful to the game.
Alright, to come back to the original point. Is the only thing that will affect your decision of buying it whether the scroll is fixed or not?
It's the only thing off the top of my head that I can think of.
Will you spend any more time between now and the game thinking about it? Has anything new come up in that field since the demo launched?
Not overtly, no.
What do you mean overtly?
Nothing that, like, I can say that, because I want to say last time I played the demo now was sometime last weekend.
Okay.
So it's been a while. I won't lie, it's been a while. I haven't downloaded any of the new patch stuff or whatever.
Well, have you been thinking about it?
Not outside of I will eventually need to make a decision. And I think that's okay though, because I won't really know what I'm looking into buying until I have the final patch version that would, in theory, be sold to me.
Why? What are you looking for?
Outside of the scroll bar right now, I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. I mean, the way you think about things, it's really hard for you to make any decisions. So I guess my whole exercise here was to try and help elucidate you, so that you have a better understanding of how you think and why you think, and maybe it'd be easier for you to plan. But it seems like you get very defensive whenever I try to do that, and it seems like you don't want to find out, and that's okay. But it's I'm at a dead end. There's no more questions I can ask that'll help. So you just do you, and hopefully eventually you come up with a decision you like. I wish you the best of luck with it. If you do content, I'm sure it'll be great. Let's talk about SummerSlam 2013. Set the scene for us, Tucker. What was this show about? Unless you have... Oh, sorry. I should give... That's kind of rude of me. Is there anything else on that topic you want to, conclude or respond to anything I said? Just, I don't want to, cut you off on that.
Not really. I think what you've said is accurate, and maybe I should have started off with that actively I'm not looking to make a decision right now. It sounds kind of cheap or whatever because you've said it, and then it sounds like I'm just agreeing with it because you said it, but it's not. Genuinely, I'm not looking to make a decision until I will absolutely have to make a decision. Right now, I'm pretty comfortable where I am.
Would you not agree that there is value in making the decision now? And I guess you can't see this, so you're going to say no to this, but I'll put it in front of you anyway. That without identifying what can change to change your mind, you will just not make a decision you could make right now. You don't know, you're not looking for anything. There is no criteria of which change will happen and it will trigger decision in you. You have not identified where the trigger points are. So you're just waiting for you to suddenly wake up with a bulb in your head, rather than actually identifying what it is you're looking for, actually identifying what it is that will make your inform your decision. And then if that information is available to you right now, you can make a decision and be more productive for the next week and a half than you would have been if you hadn't made that decision. Now, if you identify criteria and you still can't make a decision because that criteria involves information that is not currently available to you, then you still wait till that information becomes available. But without identifying that criteria, you just don't know whether you have to wait or not. And then there is value lost in not doing that. Do you see that, or do you reject that, or?
No, I see that definitely.
But do you reject it?
Yes, I do reject it.
I'd ask you why, but I don't think you're gonna want me to. So if there's anything else you want to say on that topic, go ahead.
I don't know. I feel like somewhat I've left myself too open.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this is obvious. If I have just told myself I'm buying the game no matter what, I wouldn't have anything to think about. It's like...
Can I reject that real quick?
Okay, sure.
Just because I see it all the time, and it's something humans do a lot, is that they will use coded language. And that oftentimes we will use phrases like, I'll think about it, in order to make us seem more open-minded than we actually are, because we've already made a decision, but we don't want to tell people that decision or kind of root ourselves in that decision. So, for example, if somebody asks you to go out, and you say, let me think about it, it's usually a no, but they can't then turn around and argue, well, if I said no, then I wouldn't be thinking about it. If they're not actually doing any thinking about it, which it sounds like you haven't been doing. Because you've literally said the only thinking you've been doing is, I've got to make a decision at some point.
That's true, yeah.
Which doesn't sound like thinking about it.
You're right. You're right.
To me, I hear this a lot, especially when I'm trying to schedule stuff. Where I'll be like, do you want to do this? And now I know, if someone says I'll think about it, then I'll just respond as if they had just said no. It sometimes catches people off guard. But that's the way that humans actually work.
I think...
With you, I think it's working in the opposite, of course. Because I think when I evaluate your criteria, I see no way in which it is not met. So I see no way in which, with what information you've given me, that you won't be buying the game.
It's because the biggest thing that is my problem with TEW2020 is going to be met. It is. Like, it's been basically said, at least, that it will be fixed. My biggest problem. I think everything that I have comes down to creative. It comes down to whether or not I want to keep going in the universe I have right now, or I don't. It doesn't depend that much on the game, and I know if I switch over to 2020, I'm not continuing that universe, and I don't know whether or not I want to keep going with ECW right now or not. There's a lot of pros to doing that. There's a lot of cons to doing that. There's some holes I have to dig myself out of. There's stuff I have to figure out. Overall, right now, I think there's...
Does any of that what you've just said require time? Like, in terms of what I mean by that is it time gated? When I say requires time, of course, a lot of those things are things that you have to work at. So, of course, it requires time. Like, sitting down and writing a fiction novel takes time, but you can start it whenever you want. You're not waiting, but sitting down and writing news, you have to wait for the news to happen. You know what I mean? There's a difference between those things. If you write news, you have to wait till Tuesday before you can start doing it. But if you write fiction, you can start it today.
I'm using the fix that I know is coming as a deadline, hopefully, to, in that time, have my brain something dawn on me, where all of a sudden I've unlocked what I need, and I understand now why or why not I should make this one decision.
I don't
where
think
nothing's coming to me.
And you can reject it. I don't think that ever happens. I think if you want to think something through, you have you have to do the work. You have to identify what your criteria is and work through it logically. If you take an approach, I'm waiting for a eureka moment, whatever the status quo is, which I think for you is buying the game, is just going to happen. You will not have that idea. The day will come where the game will come out, and you will say, well, the game is here. I'm going to buy it and play something.
I think the biggest problem is that I had pitched to you in the stream, at least, that I would do something with a 1980s JCP thing. I kind of kicked off with it. That roster increasingly looks less and less appealing to me. Like, because the stuff that's appealing to me in theory is like the overall process of it, but there's nothing in the beginning about those specific characters that excites me. Versus in ECW, where those characters, I've spent time with them, I kind of know where I'm going with some of them, and obviously that excites me. I kind of mentioned it earlier by saying I would be totally like remiss or whatever if I didn't get to do this one thing, which was, yes, a bit of an exaggeration, but I think I
don't know if it was. I mean, you control your own mind, but the more I hear you talk about it, because let me put this on you, because this is a new thought I had when you were just talking. You say you can reuse that idea again, but you have not. I haven't heard you talk about any passion to do it again. I don't hear another idea. I don't hear a grass is greener. You don't like JCP, and I haven't heard anything else. So I just don't see where you're going to use that idea if it's not with the world that you've spent so much time with and that you're clearly not finished with. Another thing, and this is a longer discussion, I think you're being restrictive, unnecessarily restrictive on yourself by saying that you moving on to TEW2020 means leaving that world behind.
It is self-restrictive, mostly because I've also put on myself I only ever want to do one series at a time.
There's that, and I did think about that. Yeah, you could possibly have two going on, but there's also, very much ran up against one brick wall with the save converter and then just kind of stopped rather than go getting a rope. Maybe it is an unclimbable brick wall, but I don't think you figured that out yet.
Because I don't think it's going to come out well. The reason why, the thing that would attract me to moving on to 2020
Dude,
was...
Wait, hold on. Before we...
No.
What do you mean, no?
No, I'm finishing that thought.
Alright, fine.
The appeal to 2020 for me is the new stuff, obviously, right? Like, if it was the exact same thing, why would anybody be buying it? What? Like, the new little different features whatever they've added in. And a lot of that stuff isn't optimized really well when converting saves over or converting databases over. So I think it genuinely does become one or the other. Because I could absolutely, yeah, I could convert the current thing I'm doing in 2016 to 2020, but I might as well just be playing it in 2016 because it's more likely that it's going to like work better there because it was meant for that game originally. If that makes any sense. I think I'm making sense with this, but tell me if I'm not.
It makes some sense. I'd have questions. Do you want to answer them or no?
Go ahead.
What new features do you want to use?
I think the stuff with the personality stuff is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like the new personality traits and stuff like that really interests me. I don't know how present they are in gameplay. I've never really noticed them that much, which kind of unnerves me. But I think they are really big, interesting to me, where I feel like this is going to sound weird. It's going to be like another like fucking like just thing about me. It would feel wrong to not be playing 2020 kind of how it was supposed to be done. And so, then I might as well just...
Wait, hold on. I need to call you on that.
Yep.
So what do you mean supposed to be done?
Obviously, all the features that it has are supposed to be like thought out, you know what I mean? So I've converted a 1980 whatever save here. Hold on. How do you go back to the title screen? Okay, that's how you go back to the title screen in 2020. I'm so used to just closing it.
Do you know who Elvis Robinson is?
No, who the hell's that?
I have no idea, but I got a 100 with
him. For an example, right? Let's take Ric Flair for an example. His what the hell is that one? Wait, what?
What's up, bro?
I've never noticed this before. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. Those are just the overall like personality types. Okay, sorry. I thought that was like a very specific thing that was there for some reason. I'm like, what are they? Because so the attributes that he has are amazing heel, plays swagger well, plays Weasley well, plays offbeat well, can't play dominant, can't play badass, can't play legitimate. That's all stuff that you could get from 2016 just by reading his numbers, right? Knowing that he plays cocky well, he can play Weasley, he can play crazy. He can't play, I guess dominant is, I guess it's a new style of gimmick, which is different than badass. Okay. Jesus. Anyways, you know what I mean? You could get those, whatever. Amazing heal you get from whatever. The thing that piqued my interest was class clown, which I'm learning now is just like a trait that they get, I guess. Like it's everybody kind of has their own personality type or whatever. It says class clown, and then like certain other people are professionals. I'm interested in what that's drawing on though, because some of them don't have those personality types, it seems. They don't. Yes. So certain characters don't have personality types, which is weird enough. Because I think that's very much part of the game. Like a new feature that I think I'd like to use to its fullest if I could. Otherwise, again, why am I not just using the previous game? I think also popularity and pushes are different this year. So I think I would like to see some like a real world mod first that worked with that new kind of set of not pushes or whatever they're called. Reputation, I think it's called, or something like that. Whatever it's fucking called. They changed the name of it.
Perception.
Perception. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, it's perception. I think I'd want to see something done, like a mod, whatever mod or whatever I was choosing. And obviously, that's up to the modder.
Would you
So it's
play
not
with
necessarily.
edited stats?
Oh my! How dare you? But I don't know. It's weird because I could just convert it, but to me, it feels like that's somewhat doing a disservice to the interesting new things in the game.
The main one you're talking about being the personality traits.
I would say the personality traits is a big one.
I will say that. Let me put it out there. How much when you produce a series, how much are the personality traits going to matter to the final product that is the series?
Not very much.
Okay.
I think that comes down to another one that's interesting is the system with like trueborns and stuff like that. The
That's
new types of loyalties.
It's an only Japan thing, but yeah.
Is it an only Japan thing? Did we figure that out?
Just new loyalties. Thanks for the gifted sub, HD.
Either way, I think the changes to that could be they don't reflect in mods, obviously, because they didn't exist previously.
The changes to what? Sorry, I kind of lost my train.
Okay, oh my god! What the fuck have you done to me? No,
Did you ever actually say any? Did you actually ever say it?
Loyalty.
Loyalty.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
loyalty.
I'm pretty sure it's just a new version of loyalty, which is only active in Japan anyway.
There's got to be some change to the American version, right?
There was never an American version
of loyalty.
Yeah, only in mods.
Oh my.
Yeah.
I've never thought about the fact that there's no loyalty in the American version of the Seaverse. Holy shit.
It's because it's only a Japan mechanic. I think. It's when you sign, yeah.
What about loyalty in between workers?
That's like it's a different system.
Okay, so
yeah. It's part of the relationship system, not the
yes.
loyalty.
Okay,
yeah.
I was just making sure that they weren't the same thing, and I'd somehow like never noticed before that like Americans didn't use that. I'm like, what? Are you serious?
It's like you've got to be under a certain age, and you get signed to your first exclusive deal, and then you get loyalty if you're in Japan. And now the only change I think is that if you're from that company's dev fed, you become trueborn instead of loyal. Thank you for another gifted sub, HD Pro. Much appreciated.
But yeah, I'm not sure how like stuff with the personalities would thus affect like promises, which is a new feature that I'd be interested to play with. Sure. I think because like having accurate personalities to the characters.
Has creative control ever stopped you from booking something you wanted to in the ECW save?
Creative control? No, but that's typically because we're always on PPA deals. We've only just gotten big enough to where we could offer written deals. That would be something in the future.
Well, I don't think
could potentially.
Yeah, true. I mean, if you ever gave them creative control, if you're concerned about storytelling, though, I presume you just never give them creative control, right?
That's true. Yeah, but if I was fighting over somebody, who knows, right? Like that bridge has never come. But if it was something I need to cross, interestingly enough,
yeah. Well, I guess what I'm hearing from you though, I'm not sure these things would affect the quality of the series. What the value of being able to move on with ECW is that you could move on if you wanted to and keep doing ECW if you wanted to, and it sounds like you might want to do both. Whereas if you that is the value of being able to move ECW on 2020, is that there are two outcomes that you want that could change from mutually exclusive to not mutually exclusive. That is a value, right? That's tangible.
Right.
And then you would have to weigh that against the negatives of not being able to use these features, which it sounds like on everything we've discussed so far, it wouldn't have a big impact on the product, which is what I presume, and I think. Also, did you end the screen share or did I end the screen share?
You've never been screen sharing.
Oh. You're fine with that, right?
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, I guess I'll tell you. JT Ace got Wrestler of the Year.
Oh my!
You've missed all the 100s, dude. There was some hype in there. So, It sounds like it wouldn't affect the product at all.
I think what
Well, not at all,
what the
but
viewers
minimally.
what the viewer sees, yeah, I think it would affect limited amounts.
So
But I
what,
think
yeah. So wait, let me just try to finish this.
Go ahead.
So yeah, I think you should. I think there's something to be said there that if once you eliminate that idea that okay, I've got to figure out whether I want to move on or do ECW, that also makes you more productive now because you.
Oh,
What's up?
sorry, another thing I just thought of.
Go for it.
Contracts have changed, and so I'm not sure how well those would convert over.
Yeah, it's true.
I think they convert over fine, but I'm just not sure necessarily. It's something I guess I'd have to play with more using a conversion, I guess, maybe.
Yep, that's fair.
Hmm.
But I guess back to the center of it.
Go ahead.
You can help me get back to the center of it if you're able to. Because I don't know. I know what roughly we were talking about, but I don't know how to word it to get us back on topic. Unless you just want to, unless you have something pithy to finish off the topic, I guess you can just say thank you, fuck you, bye. I'm not going to tell you until the day before TW comes out, and you can suck it. That could be a way to end the topic if you want.
No, I don't think that's really fair. I think it's
Oh, hold on, before you carry on, what do you like about the new game?
what do I like about the new game?
Yeah.
Obviously the personality stuff is really interesting to me. That's why I brought it up initially. I really like the deeper kind of individuality of the own characters and kind of how they work together. Like it kind of feels more like the characters now, like I don't want to say like exist because that sounds fucking stupid, but like all of a sudden they seem to have more personality aside from this person's generally a good person. This person's a fucking asshole. Like it's like there's different kind of ways that they can be fucking assholes.
To just devil's advocate, certain personality traits affected things in the old game too, like liberal and conservativeness affected your willingness to do certain things. So it wasn't just necessarily about your locker room influence and humble workers and stuff like that. There was effects to the other personality stuff before. Arguably, you could say the old one was more granular because you had spectrums, whereas in the new one,
you basically just get a perk that says
exactly.
that basically just explains what your stat says more or less.
Also, thanks for re-upping your gifted sub and continuing on for another one, HD Pro. Very much appreciate it. So yeah. So anyway, and more things you like about the game other than personality.
Other than the personalities, I somewhat like the new product system.
Can I pitch something to you I think you'll like, but you might not know about yet?
Go ahead.
You can tape multiple TVs on one night now.
I do know that. I'm not sure where that would apply for me, but if I ever did use it, that'd be really awesome. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know when I'd be using that. But that being its own thing is really great.
Did ECW
obviously
not tape multiple nights?
It depends. I think they were in the mid 90s, but especially like I'm in 2000 now, so in theory I should have the TNN deal. So like shit, we're live every fucking week.
Now? Okay.
Yeah, which isn't accurate at all. Still, I'm still on the shitty like original TV company with like a pre-recorded show.
Okay.
But in theory, you know what I mean. Like I'm not, but I am.
Oh, okay.
I think genuinely I'm interested in, and I know I've said I don't like it, I'm really interested in the new oh shit.
What's up, bro?
Reception? No. Shit,
Perception?
you said the word art. Perception? Fuck, I was so close. The new perception system, I'm really interested in that. I think that provides not a new challenge, because I don't play for like challenge.
Yeah.
But I think it makes it less easy to just be like, this person is this. Okay. Like I'd have to like literally build something, and now the fans kind of tell me what they think of people instead of me being like, they are main eventer, you deal with this now. As much as it doesn't mean anything, I like the stables stuff. Like it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. It doesn't mean anything, but it's fun. I think the new backstage. Are there new backstage? No, these are all pretty much the same backstage settings. Actually, I just flipped into them. I was like, that's a lot more than before. No, they're not. They're just displayed differently.
All right, so we'll wrap it up. Do you have any? Do you have any intention on trying? I don't really want to ask you this because you're probably like, no offense, you're probably gonna say yes, and then the answer is probably gonna be no. I guess wrap it up however you want. I don't think there's. I'm trying to think of ways that I can wrap this up, and I don't think any of them refer to you. So why don't you do it yourself?
I think it's really likely I end up moving on to 2020 when the time comes. Just straight up, like I think it's really likely. I think it's very likely that it's going to be doing something different than I was before, which is somewhat bittersweet to me. But ultimately, everything that I wanted to do with ECW, I could again do somewhere else. And if I took one series and went really long with it, I, in theory, could tell the exact same kind of narratives I was going to tell anyways. So it's just about finding what feels right. I'm not sure if starting in 85 with Jim Croc Promotions is it, because I don't like the starting roster that much. But if I wanted to go really long, how much does the starting roster overtly matter? How soon can I make changes to that, etc.? And then all of a sudden it's, well, why am I specifically playing that company? So there's other things to figure out, but I think that depends a lot on what mods are going to be available for 2020.
SummerSlam 2013. Set the scene.
Oh yeah, right. I forgot. We were supposed to do this. Oh yeah, okay.
Are you upset that we didn't do this sooner?
I feel like that should be 2 videos, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not even sure if that first one should be a video, actually.
Okay. Do you want to talk about that?
I don't know. I just feel like the first part of it, we're not really making any progress. It makes me look like I don't know what I'm talking about, which is accurate. I never know what I'm talking about. I'm just a collection of vague ideas and squirming. That's like, no, I like things the way I like things.
I think smart people can respect when other people are thinking out loud, and to not take everything you say as something you're willing to a hill you're willing to die on.
It's very interesting though, to me at least, how many times I'll try to justify something before I genuinely have to figure out what I think about something. Does that make any sense? Like, because I don't.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
I don't think of myself as somebody who's really like wishy-washy, but I think it just shows how much I'm willing to just like, will you take this? Will you take this? Will you take this? Fuck. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just to try to get out of it.
I feel what you're saying. I don't think I don't look at it the same way you do, but and I will say that not a lot of people watch the podcast. But if it's something you're uncomfortable with seeing its way to YouTube, then I don't have to upload it.
It's not even that. I just think that if these are the same thing, I think it's 2 different things. Like, I think it would end up being too long. Like, the people who want to hear us talk about SummerSlam 2013 are like,
I don't think anybody wants to hear us talk about SummerSlam 2013.
I think there's a chance more people want to hear us talk about SummerSlam 2013 than there are people who want to hear me again ramble on about TW.
You know what? Over the last couple weeks, I'm not sure that's actually true. But hey, also if you wanna get out of here, we can wrap this up if that's what you mean.
No.
And of course I respect your opinion on this stuff. It's up to you. If you very passionately think we should talk about SummerSlam next week, then we can do. I just warn you that we're going to do an intro, and I'm going to seize onto another topic, and
that's not at all what I'm saying. I'm not like delay this. That's not my like veiled way of saying delay this. I seriously just meant like, I think for like those reasons, it's much better to make that 2 videos. But if you just want to keep this as one, that's fine.
Well, I guess if you I guess we could make 2 videos and record both this evening.
Well, yeah, because we were going to talk about this anyways. Like,
all right, sure, I suppose.
Like, that's all I was going to. But whatever. I mean, up to you, dude. It's your stuff. Like, if you want to keep it as one thing, you keep it as one thing. You go right ahead.
There's 2 people on this podcast tonight. That means you have 50% of the say.
Which means nothing will get done.
Well, if we disagree, but I am a reasonable man. You can convince me of things.
I'm not reasonable, but I'm also very giving. So
perfect. So So you think we should just do you think we should do separate videos because you think there are some people that actually want to hear you talk about SummerSlam 2013 and wouldn't want to sit through the hour of channel update stuff?
I think you're much more likely to get more viewers. Even just looking at that perspective for you, even like splitting those views would be kind of hype. But
yeah, splitting those 10 views across 2 videos.
No, if you put TEW2020 in the title, surely people will. Oh, maybe not now. Actually, it's been a couple weeks. All right, if you want to just keep going, we'll just keep going. Whatever.
Oh yeah, I suppose. I guess we did talk about TEW2020.
Now this is
should we
It'd
open
be
up
so
the
funny.
demo?
This is like, it's so funny. Somebody in the comments is like, somebody in the comments is gonna be like, wow, it's really awkward. This conversation made it into like the one like 7-hour long podcast I'm listening to right now. It's like, yup. I see you, pal. I see you.
All right. That sounds all right. You've convinced me. So thank you all.
My only concern also.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
It was just time. That's all. You know what I mean? Like the fact that like, I don't know, you're more likely to get actual like conversation about the pay-per-view if maybe it's like a 2-hour long thing where we talk about it versus like.
Oh, you want feedback on your thoughts of SummerSlam?
Even just in general, you know what I mean? If people wanted to interact with different points or something like that, like it's a lot easier for them to interact with those points if they are
sure. I like
somewhat snappy.
I tend to try and make the content that I watch, and most of the podcasts I watch go significantly longer than any of the podcasts I've ever recorded. So now length is never something that concerns me. But you make good points, and you are a co-host tonight. So thank you all for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Let us know what you think in the comments. If you want to see more ECW, tell Tucker about it. Tell him about it. And if you want to see him play 2020, tell him about that. Thank you all for watching. And why don't you sign us off?
Thanks for watching this episode of the podcast. I guess it's technically an episode of the podcast.
What do you mean technically?
Maybe not. Technically it is. It will be titled podcast, but I don't know if we'll count it in like lower. Like it might be like one of those episodes that doesn't really count. You know what I mean? I don't know. It all depends.
Do you count the podcast editorial? We'll talk about that next time. Actually, go on.
We'll catch you on the next one where we'll talk about a show. We'll talk about wrestling.
See you guys then.